Hey, what is up guys, ShaqBeats here, and in today's video I'm really excited to take a look at this new plugin by Waves called the CR8 Creative Sampler and also the free Cosmos sample library that comes with it. One thing I want to mention is that at the time of recording this video, this plugin only costs $9.99. Go take a look at it after the video of course, and maybe you might want to purchase it. Alright, so now on my screen I have CR8 sampler loaded up right here in FL Studio. To this also, I just got it like a few days ago. Now the user interface seems pretty straightforward and pretty simple, but one interesting thing I found out about this plugin is that they actually have 5 different kinds of stretching algorithms. Now over here by default, as you can see, it's classic, but if you click this drop down menu, you can see you can choose beats, harmonic, melodic, and voice, which we'll be definitely trying out later. Now besides this, over here we have the option to choose either you want to play it or launch it. And one of the cool things about this sampler is over here, if you can see, you can actually add multiple instances of this sampler, so you can actually load like many sounds into it if you want. And if I'm not wrong, you can go up to 8. Yep, the maximum is 8 sounds, which is a lot of sounds. So for now, I do not have a sample loaded up here, so let's actually go up to this icon here, which is the Cosmos sample library. Just click it and it's loading.
6.5 hours later.
Alright, so now Cosmos has loaded up, and as you can see from the side here, there are 2,512 factory samples. That is a lot of samples for a free sample library. Now let me just choose one shot and maybe like a pluck sound. Alright, you know what, let's just go with this short pluck sound here. Sounds pretty clean. Now on the side here, I actually have my keyboard, but you can't see it because I only have one camera. So by default, when I trigger a note, yeah, it just plays it. So let's just like mess around with some of the things here that they have. One thing I realized was that when I drop this into the sampler, it automatically changed the harmonic. Now on the side here, what we can do is we can actually increase the gain to make it louder or quieter. And we have the option here to choose the root note of your synth. So if I click this little icon here, it actually automatically suggests the root key of the sample. And below that, you can also adjust the BPM if you are loading in some melodies or a drum loop. And right next to it, we have a controller to adjust the pitch. And also over here, we can adjust the fine tune of the sample. Now this next part is where things get really interesting. Over here, right, you get the option to choose if you want to loop your sample. Without the loop, if I just play a note, it'll just play whatever it is. But if I click loop, right, it will keep playing as long as I hold down the note. So what I can do here is actually create an infinite instrument out of a short sample. So by enabling the loop mode, over here I can see there's an option to drag my loop start. So I'm just going to drag the back over here and let's just give it a listen. Okay, for now it sounds not so good. Over here, there's a crossfade option that we can use so it makes the transition smoother. When I'm holding it down, it's looping that part where I selected, so it creates like an infinite instrument. Okay, I'm feeling some sort of like a bass right now. Right, let's search up bass, a pluck bass maybe. Okay, let's give this a try. Let's maybe try to mess around with the speed. Ooh, okay. Now I want to make this bass a little more plucky, so let's just mess around with the ADSR. Maybe decrease the sustain a little bit. And also the decay. Now one more thing I want to do is I want to enable this glide here, so it kind of like glides around. Gotta increase it a little bit. Gotta make voices 1 because we only want one voice. Now right now I want to do something unique. I want to try and make an 808 out of like a kick sound, which we can do here. So let's just load out a kick sound. Alright, let's try this kick right here. A feature I want to try is I want to actually freeze one of the frames here. And by adjusting the offset here, you can actually adjust where you want to freeze it. So let's give it a try. And when I hold down a note, you can see there's a line that pops up here. So that is where it's being frozen. So let me just move around to find like the sweet spot.
Three weeks later.
Oh yeah, let's just make it into like a synth. I guess it sounds better. Now the next thing I want to try out is the beat mode. Alright, so we've loaded this in and immediately it detects that it's a beat. Now over here what we have is that it actually chopped the entire drum loop into different sections. Now what I do want to do is I want to chop this entire thing up so that I can play it individually. So for now I just have the kick. Okay, I don't want loop mode. Create a slight fade out. Now let's create another sample here and let's load in the same one. And this time we're gonna only have the snare. So let's drag this here. Oops, whoa, that's a lot. Alright, so over here, as I've explained, I've already chopped out the kick and the snare into individual samplers. And over here under the keyboard zone, you can actually have this unique function where you can select an area on the keyboard where you want only the sounds to be triggered. So I have the kick on one side and the snare on the other side. So now this allows me to actually play the individual drum sounds without having to actually individually chop them up. Alright, now one last thing I want to add for this is actually a pad sound. So let's try maybe some of the pad sounds here. Alright, you know what? Let's try to do something out of this, although it sounds really bright and really buzzy. Alright, so far we never tried the unison setting over here. So now without the unison setting, this is how it sounds. And this is with. And this width, I guess, is just to give it some stereo width. Let's try to lower the speed a little bit. Okay, I don't want this front part where there's like a weird attack. And I want to put on a filter over here, so lower the cutoff. So over here, I'm going to be using the modulation 1. I'll just drag and drop onto cutoff. Just have to drag up. So you can hear it's like the cutoff is moving, and I want to actually slow down the rate a little bit so that it's not too extreme. Okay, so one last thing I want to add. I don't know how many times I already said one last time. But the last thing for real that I want to add here is actually a vocal chop. So we're going to try to make a vocal chop out of this loop.
Going deeper in my soul.
Alright, so I want that part where she sings deeper. So just this part here. So what we're going to do is we're going to change this voice into melodic. So it should sound a lot better. Alright, so what I've done here is I've actually created two different kinds of vocal chops with the same vocal loop, and under the keyboard zones here I've actually split it up into two different parts so that I don't actually play both vocal samples when I trigger a note. Alright, so let me just record this in and let's see the final results. Alright, that's it for my video. If you guys enjoyed this review, it would be really nice if you guys can click the like button, subscribe, and also comment down below what you guys think about this plugin. Definitely do head on to waves.com. I'll leave the link down below where you guys can find the link to this plugin. And yeah, you guys can go and purchase it and just, you know, play around with it. Because there's so many things in here, I can't cover exactly everything because if I do, the video will probably be like 20 minutes long and it'll be super boring. Now, before you leave, I just want to say if you're an FL Studio user, check out my video right here where I covered a secret plugin in FL Studio that will blow your mind. And yeah, that's about it. See you guys in the next video. Peace!